What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Carbon, and today I'm going to be talking about quarantine at Fort Leonard Wood. And the reason I'm touching on that is because the last video I did or 2 videos ago, I did for my 12 Bravo AIT experience did really well. And I'm just going to keep making videos about the military and my experiences. So let's get right into it. Last time I showed you guys my dorm room, and we just made a new addition, which is some LED lights. I still got one more strip left to use, and I don't even know if I'll need to put it up. All right, everybody. So I've gotten a few comments that were talking about what quarantine's like and just asking me a little bit more in depth about my AIT experience. So I figured I'd make kind of a follow-up video that really goes along with that one. And so what I'm going to be doing is talking about my quarantine experience and just that whole portion of it, because that is not normal and I don't see too many videos up about it, so I feel like this kind of needs to be touched on. So quarantine, what is that like? I'm going to be addressing everything: phone time, what you actually do in quarantine. Is it fun? Is it boring? Like how is it? Because when you say quarantine, that can mean anything. Like out in the civilian world compared to on an army base, it's a lot different. The first major thing, phones. Everybody cares about their phones, obviously, when they're going to get them, how much they're going to get them. And honestly, this is the best news I'm going to tell you about this whole video. You get your phone a lot more. It depends company to company, how much phone time you get. They always say how good you do, but I don't know. We definitely got our phones the most through our 2-week quarantine than we did the other 6 weeks of our training, if we did like combined total time. And so that's a good thing. They gave it to us, I would say probably every few days, probably like 2 or 3 days. But then on the flip side, the terrible part, because there's always a good and bad part, right? The bad part is, what do you actually do for all that time that you're not on your phones? Because that's just a small thing of it. So if you're in basic training, I believe they're knocking out those 2 weeks and considering that as 2 weeks of red phase, I believe is what they were doing for a little while. I'm guessing they would still do that. It would make the most sense for basic training, so that way it doesn't like add on any more time for those going to basic training or doing OSUT. But we were strictly only AIT, which is pretty uncommon, and they couldn't. You have to have like instructors that are civilians, and so they couldn't like just come in and teach us like a normal. Like we had to go to them basically to go train. So that was added on for us. And so if you're doing just split and only AIT, then that's going to be added on time. So given my rare circumstances, all that we did was pretty much sleep throughout the entire days. We were just told to clean literally like 24/7. Like the only thing, we were pretty much in our barracks all day, all night. We would come outside 3 times a day. They'd call us down by platoon. Each time there was a meal throughout the day, and it was all UPU or field chow, some people like to call it, which basically is like boxed up foods and stuff like that they get from the DFAC or the dining center, and we just kind of serve ourselves. Also, as soon as we got there, we were required to take a COVID test, and that sucked. And then at the end of our 2-week quarantine, we also had to take another one, which screwed a dude over because he got a false positive and had to stay 2 weeks longer than the rest of us and get transferred to a different company. And it turns out that he was actually a false positive, so I feel bad for that dude, but more money for him, I guess. But yeah, it was pretty much clean. Like, I know we had so many inspections because we had to make sure, like, compared to last summer, we had to make sure things were so much cleaner. We had so many like higher ups walking through at different times of our training, making sure that everything was spick and span. We had to clean way more than we ever had to last summer, no doubt. The other thing too is, I would say that it was a little more relaxed than the rest of our training because we didn't have to do like fire guard. I remember for the first good chunk of that quarantine, because they knew we were kind of sleep deprived a little bit from coming in. And so pretty much literally most of quarantine was either cleaning or sleeping. That was 90% of it, I would say. The other 10% was phone calls and eating. That's pretty much how I would divide that up. They knew we were sleeping. They caught us sleeping a few times. Got smoked. It is what it is a few times. But yeah, pretty much just cleaning over and over again. But it was kind of nice because throughout that time we didn't get issued any weapons yet, Couldn't get issued any gear really, so it was pretty nice. And the best thing about it too is we were able to get some extra classes about AIT before we started, so we kind of got a little bit of a head start than most people would get in OSUT or normal AIT cycle, because we got those extra 2 weeks to kind of prepare for it. So I know for AIT you have to know how to tie some knots, and they're not too hard or anything, but we just got some extra practice working on that and working with those knots. Yeah. Also, coming in was a lot different than it was last year. We hopped off the bus once we got onto the base, and then we pretty much got COVID tested. We waited in like a big ass line to get COVID tested, and then after that, I guess we did get issued like some gear. It was like hygiene products just to get us through the first 2 weeks that they issued us, and it was a lot of standing around and just waiting for stuff, filling out paperwork. Like, it was a little similar, but we didn't go to the 43rd Battalion, which is called reception, that you normally would, or that we were expecting to, like we did last year. I think that's really all that happened in quarantine. Definitely the most boring part of AIT, let me tell you that. Like, that felt way longer than the rest of the other 6 weeks that we had, so never want to do that again. Not quarantine. I'll do AIT again, but not quarantine. Hail to the no. So yeah, hope y'all enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next Friday. It's been your boy Carbon, and I am signing out. Peace.